Hi there, witches. Sorry I'm a little bit late. We have customers in the apothecary looking at our potions and stuff. So I am here. So how you doing? Welcome to the Virgo season. We're switching over from Leo to Virgo. So we're going from fire to earth. So there's going to be a real shift for some people. We're here to answer any questions that you may have. My name is Anya, and I'm the owner of Sarah Witchery. I have a business partner by the name of Shannon. Sarah Witchery is a business to provide the best service that we can to make the everyday witch's life easier. We make potions, soaps. We're going to start carrying lotions and lotion bars and whip soap and some really wonderful stuff. So I hope you take the moment to check out the website at www.sarenwitchery.com. So usually what I do during this thing is I allow people to ask me any question that they want about magic, being a witch, so on and so forth. If your question is closer to what a reading would be, we will talk about that. And then offline, we will schedule a time for you to come in and get a reading. So we're going to go ahead and start off and see, are there any questions thus far from the two viewers that we do have? Okay, hearing crickets, I'll just go ahead and talk. So there's a lot going on with Sarah Witchery lately, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about was readings. I offer both crystal ball and tarot. I often get the question, what's the difference between crystal ball and tarot? Well, the difference is that the tarot give you pictures so that you can see them. The crystal ball only gives me pictures. I have actually had clients get upset and angry with me when they find out that a head does not pop into my crystal ball and speak in verse. This is not Disney's Haunted Mansion. That is all mirrors and lights and all sorts of fun, really great magical stuff, but it's not real magic. And when you use a crystal ball, that crystal ball is more for, yeah, right? It's not the Haunted Mansion. I've actually had people yell at me, why isn't it talking? What? Well, normally it talks. And I'm like, what do you mean normally it talks? Well, the big ball in Haunted Mansion, the woman talks. I'm like, it's because it's got a camera underneath it, projecting her head into the ball. People honestly don't know that. So it is a scrying tool. You can do the same with mirrors. You can do the same with stones. You can do the same with a flame. It's just a way to scry. So with the crystal balls, I have different kinds depending on work I'm doing. Like, for example, you can see that one right there. That's my normal everyday reading crystal ball. Her name is Bella. And then I have another one that is over here. She's a big one. And she just wants to be decoration and used for me personally and my magic work. So, any questions so far about the difference between readings of tarot and crystal ball? Lucas asks, could you talk a little bit about channeling energies into the creative process and maintaining creative focus? Wow. Channeling the energies during your creative process, anytime that you just get that little inkling of, ooh, I'm going to work on something, you're channeling. Your intuition is picking up messages, so on and so forth. How do I maintain that creative force and that focus? How do I maintain it? For me, I maintain it by making sure that my incense doesn't run out, so that I know when the incense runs out, I have to check in with me. Is it time to get up and move? Because sometimes our creative process will only run for a little bit, and then there's time for you to process before you finish. So it really depends. It's very individualistic. So, for example, what I would do may not necessarily be what you would do, but for me, I keep like a certain kind of music playing in the background. Anything that you would do to focus myself. I have ADD, so if I start focusing on something, I can become what's called hyper focused, and then I can't put it down until I'm done, because I know once I put it down, I may not ever finish it. And that's because of my neurodiversity. Um, when I channel it, whenever you do anything, whether it's channeling or other stuff like that, my students are very fond of me saying this, and they always get a chuckle out of it. You wouldn't have sex without a condom. Please do not practice magic without a circle of protection, a bubble of protection. A lot of people think the circle ends at the ground. It doesn't end at the ground, it goes underneath. So it's supposed to be as above, so below. So when you're channeling those energies and stuff, you want to have that circle of protection around you, because if you don't have that, then you can have other things come in that could also pull you away from your project. Does that make sense at all? Excuse me. So once you're going, until you take that bubble or circle down, then you should stay in that creative process without any kind of problem, unless it's like, oh, I forgot something, and you have to walk outside the circle. And when you leave your circle, you should do it in a way where there's a door so that other things can escape in. Because again, you're working with energy, you're calling other things to you. So you want to be careful that you protect yourself and what you're doing, and you don't end up with weird juju in there, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Lucas? Oh, good. I'm glad that helped. A question from a friend who couldn't make it. I've seen a lot of TikTokers, users who claim to be witches that do readings and Reiki on live stream. Do you have any thoughts on that? Um, you can do that. I've done readings on live stream. It's no different than being at a gallery reading for myself personally. You can do Reiki online and give, as a group or as a general thing. And you can do that, yes. It's the same as astral projecting or doing a prayer for a large group of people. It would be something very similar to that. Not exactly, but similar. Does that make sense? So, and witchcraft is very individualistic. What doesn't work for me may work for someone else. There's no right or no wrong, because it is very one-on-one. Like, I do distance Reiki all the time. Well, one of the things that we're taught in our Reiki classes is how to do that distance work. So it's not unusual that you could do it on live stream. I don't do it on live stream because the people that I'm providing services to are coming to me for very specific reasons. They're coming to me for specific issues or challenges that they have. And so they don't want that broadcast. Most people who come on to a live stream and ask a question, they're asking very general questions. And they're also trying to test the psychic to see if they know what they're actually talking about, or if they're, a charlatan, basically. So I need you guys to hold on 1 second. I have some customers in here, so I'll be right back 1 second. Do that. So the customer just said, I want to watch your live stream. How do I get to your live stream? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. On the brochures on the table there behind you is a brochure, and on the back of it is all the information you need to find us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been like, wait, but when I'm not here, I want what?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, if anyone who has joined us, because we have some more viewers, if you have any questions for me, please go ahead and type them into the chat. And then that way I'll see your question. And to answer your question on YouTube, if you go to @Sarah you'll be able to find my channel right away.
Perfect.
Okay. And let me know when you need out so I can get the complicated gate down for you guys. So, all right. So I've answered a couple questions. Do you have any questions since you're in here, honey? Don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're like, I want to watch. Well, do you have a question?
Not off the top of my head. I've been really relating to a lot of the things that you're saying, and it's nice to hear someone else say the things that I feel.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that I have a place to go when I do have questions.
Absolutely.
Someone that is like-minded. That is big for me.
Exactly.
There's so many people on TikTok and whatever right now, and I'm like, I don't know how like-minded these people are, so it's nice to hear you talking. Oh, this is someone I can trust with the way that I believe.
Right. And that's what Ask the Witch is all about. Ask the Witch is to make sure that, if you're not sure, you can ask me the question and then do some research and see what's closest. And maybe if you don't like it, you can leave it. Because remember, the number one rule in witchcraft is take what you like, leave what you don't, as long as you harm ye none. None meaning no one. Okay. You don't harm the animals, you don't harm the earth, you don't harm the people. Okay. Hold on one second. I need to take care of the noise volume here. I know the customers in the apothecary don't know if they're ever going to be able to leave because they have to stop scratching Cookie, and Cookie's getting lots of love. Oh, hi, Wildcraft Herbarium. How you doing, honey? I'm glad to see you on. It's so nice that you're here. Thanks for joining us. So a lot of people use, oh, good. Yay. Wildcraft Herbarium says, I'm awesome. Yay. So one of the things about witchcraft is take what you like, leave what you don't. But when you go and see, a psychic, you kind of get a vibe. Some people who walk into my apothecary and into If the Broom Fits, the shop I rent from, one of the first things they say is how peaceful it is here and that they feel rested and relaxed and they don't feel anxious. Well, that's because we work specifically to make sure that when you come in here, it is a place of sacredness. It is a place of rest for people, because sometimes when people are coming in here, they're dealing with a lot of stuff and they're looking for magic stuff that's going to help them solve those realities. And that's what witchcraft is all about, is making sure that we know what we're doing so that we can create and shape our own reality. So, is there any other questions that we have across the viewers? Okay. Well, since we're talking about magic and we're talking about what, magic is and how it works, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there that in October, I will be starting my Witchcraft 101 class. That class is for a year and a day. And what you do is, what we'll be doing is it's a hybrid class, half online and then crafting days. That's why it's called witchcraft, because you're crafting your own tools. You'll also be crafting your own book of shadows. You will be required to buy a specific book from an author that is the coloring pages that you will use as your markers for your book of shadows. We will be going over each individual one in depth. The first class will talk a lot about the history of witchcraft, where it came from, where it was perceived from, and what we have learned from then till now, which is eons worth of technology and technological advancements. So when you learn magic, understand that not only are you learning how to work energy, you're learning how to do certain things, but what you're also doing is learning how to become more self-aware and self-responsible and self-accountable. If you can't do that, it's going to be hard for you because you have to come into those kind of changes. You have to become more self-aware. Hold on one second. Did you have a question, honey?
Yeah, we're actually gonna grab sorry, my next.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm gonna grab one of the smaller Hades rollers.
Sure. Hold on one second. I have to help my customer real quick. You want one of the small hottie Hades,
Yes.
as we Americans say?
Yes.
Where is he? Here he is. Okay. That's going to be 15. Did you want to use card or cash? Card.
Hi, baby. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you when we go.
Okay, we're gonna come back.
Yeah, we'll be.
Just to play with her. That's okay. Okay, your total is going to be 15, huh? Is this a tap pay?
Yes.
Yeah. Look at your phone here.
That's very cool.
That's nifty.
I know, right? Super, super duper cool. I'll be right with y'all. I have not forgotten. Let me get. Did you want a bag for this, or did you just want to put it? Did you just want to put it in your pocket?
I'll probably just put it in my pocket.
Okay, that's yours.
Thank you so much.
And then before you go, you made a purchase, so you get to pick two.
Pick two?
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. Okay. Two popped up right
Yeah, those are supposed to be yours then.
now. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, those are perfect.
Those are
actually.
adult witchy stickers. Everyone who makes a purchase gets two.
I
love
love
it.
that. I love
Mhm.
stickers.
You really do.
Good. You guys have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you again soon.
Oh,
Stay.
you will. You definitely will.
I'm gonna go this way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you for your patience. Oh, good to see you off to teach dance. Oh, we miss you. Thank you for being here, though. We appreciate that. So let's see. We have something here. For me, the sheer amount of shadow work while going through Witchcraft 101 was a surprise. That's the self-accountability. When people say shadow work, everybody thinks it's this really harried, icky thing. Well, sure, it can be. But what it is you're really looking at the parts of yourself that you've rejected, the parts of yourself that you don't accept or don't like, and you kind of have to come to terms with those. And so during witchcraft, that's when you start realizing that other energies that are around you actually cause you to have certain energetic, what I call ETIs, energetic transmitted infections. And so as a result of that, people can get physically ill because they have something attached to them, or they didn't process it in a way that they could have that was a little bit healthier. So when you go through the witchcraft class and you have those issues, I'm here to help guide you through them. And also, I'm able to give you other information as to where you're going and what you're doing. So anyway, the shadow work that we do, it is one of those things where it can be a little bit harder to do, but because you have someone helping you through it, it makes it a little bit easier. Plus, on top of it, you'll also have your classmates who are experiencing the same things you are. It always seems to go concurrent so that you guys can protect and support each other as they're going through this. And I hope that idea makes sense. So, okay. So Are there any questions now that I've been talking about that for a little bit? No? Okay. So there are a lot of things going on. Right now is what we call witchy season because it is a very, very busy time for us witches. The fall is always very busy because we have Samhain or Halloween. Samhain is the witch's new year. This is the new year where we say goodbye to the old and welcome in the quiet and the darkness as we get to the longest night of the year, which is the winter solstice or Yule. So for us, Samhain is kind of like our witch's new year because as of November 1st, we don't really have a whole lot of festivals and get-togethers and stuff as far as formally. There are some places that will have Yule bazaars, and there are some places who will have Yule rituals, which are great, and that's awesome. But they're not normally festivals. They're usually a one-day thing or something along those lines. When I'm talking about festivals, I'm talking about camping trips, being out with a large community of people who are like-minded, where you go and you do workshops and you learn and you have rituals and it's transformative for you. Those are different than events. Events are, for example, Lunasa or Lamas. You'll have a big spread. Mabun, which is fall equinox, was originally Thanksgiving because that is like the second harvest where it's like, wow, you got a lot of stuff, and a lot of it couldn't like hold forever or be canned or preserved back in the day before electricity and lights and so on and so forth. So they would have their Thanksgiving dinner. Abraham Lincoln moved Thanksgiving from September to November to make it less heathen. So once we have that, like for example, Sarah Witchery's event calendar is nutty. Okay. So for example, on the 10th is the Columbia Willamette Pagan Pride thing that you can do. And that can put you into contact because it's like a networking. It's where it's kind of like gay pride or, other prides where you're welcome and open to being who you are. And so with those events, those are definitely for networking. And then I got a question here. What are some ways novice witches or even those new to paganism can celebrate Samhain or even Yule if they're not active in the community? You can do stuff, reading books. The first Samhain ritual that I ever did, I did by myself at home. When I began my witchcraft journey, I began it with an author by the name of Scott Cunningham. The book's name was The Solitary Practitioner's Guide to Wicca. And he had rituals written in there. And so my first Samhain ritual, I followed one of those and I just honored our dead family members. We had what's called a dummy dinner. And so that's something that you could do. You could set a place for your ancestors that have passed on that you would like to visit with. Remember, if you put food on their plates, when they're all done, you can either throw it away or bury it. Don't eat it. Spirits for Samhain will come in and they will energetically consume the food, and the last thing you want is to consume that food as a human after the energy has been taken out of it, because it can make you sick. For Yule, you could do something such as lighting candles and welcoming the light back in. There's a lot of witches that are on TikTok also that give you lots of ideas. Instagram, Facebook. I mean, if you do your algorithm just right, you'll get notifications from witches saying, hey, here's a great self tip. Here's a great self-care thing. Sarah Witchery, we do it sometimes too. Hey, here's something that you need to know about this holiday. So you can celebrate it, that if you're not active in a community, you can still do what's called solitary practicing. And as a solitary practitioner, you would do your own rituals. You would be your own priest and priestess. You would be the quarters, depending on how you, and again, how I would do it may be different than how someone else would do it, and so on and so forth. I hope that answers your question. So as Samhain, we're celebrating our ancestors. We're celebrating the thinness between the veil of the living and the non-living. There are a bunch on Instagram who provide altar ideas as well, and ideas for celebrating on a budget. Exactly. The information that you find on the Google, all you have to do, though, is make sure that it fits with you. Okay. So if you do see something and you notice something and you're like, I don't really like that, that's fine. Don't use it. Make sure that it feels right to you. And as long as it feels light and right to you, then you'll be able to make it work for you, because it's not offending your judgments. It's not offending how you believe. So for example, one of my biggest pet peeves that I had with the Catholic and Christian community is not being open and available to the LGBTQIA plus communities. I don't believe that God is like that. That's my personal view on that. I believe God loves everyone. At least my gods do, and my goddesses do. But it's also not, they're not above me. They're equal to me. We're all divine in our own way. But we have to work through those judgments as well, because sometimes those judgments are like, oh, I can't do that. I have to have a priest or a priestess in order to do that. When in all actuality, you are your own priest. You are your own priestess. So you don't really need someone else to come in and say, you're doing that wrong. I try very hard to not say you're doing that wrong. I will say be very careful with that, because here are some things that could happen if you don't know what you're doing. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Ouija boards. I am one of the leading people in Oregon and Portland that deals with Ouija boards and remediation of Ouija boards and house cleansings after Ouija boards are used. First of all, Ouija boards are not a bad thing. I know that everybody says Ouija and everybody goes running for the exits, jumping out the windows as if though the house is on fire. Ouija boards are no different than tarot cards, no different than my crystal ball, and no different than using a pendulum and a pendulum board. The only difference is that it has a planchette. If you lose your planchette, guess what you can use with a Ouija board? Your pendulum. Because there's no difference between a Ouija board and a pendulum board. It is by the practitioner. The reason I talk about Ouija boards so openly about this is because Ouija boards are sold as children's toys, right? All the eyes all roll synonymously, anonymously at the same time, right? Or I'm sorry, unanimously at the same times. In fact, as a matter of fact, I just saw a Ouija board on TikTok that's made for toddlers. No joke, made for toddlers, so that they can learn their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s. Now, I haven't heard about anything breaking through, but I also know that most of people that I know were like, are you kidding me? You're giving a divination tool to a child who is open. Their third eye is all seeing. They have no judgments over their third eye. They're able to see, hear, smell, and perceive things that we adults, oh, that's not real. Oh, we don't believe in that. Kids don't have that yet. But let's give them something that they can put together and play with that's a Ouija board, and then wonder why we're being haunted. Again, if you're going to play with a Ouija board, know what you're doing. It is not a game. Yeah, thank you, Hasbro. Yeah, thank you, Hasbro. And before that, it was Milton Bradley. I remember back in the 70s, it was Milton Bradley, I believe, that sold them too. And so, I mean, you can get these at, in some of the toy sections in some of the like Fred Meyer's and Target and stuff like that. Now, I've gone to Target and I've looked. They do not have Ouija boards, at least not in the ones near me. That doesn't mean that all of them don't carry them. You can buy a ton of them online. Again, if you'd like to bring me your Ouija board, they do make good for a good charcuterie. Yeah, sure. Until you summon something that wants some of your salami and cheese, you better leave out a plate. But with a Ouija board, remember it is a sacred divination tool, no different than the tarot and the pendulum board. So, like, for example, when I have my Ouija boards, they are never left out without a black cloth surrounding them, at least in the box. Because that black cloth keeps all negative things away from it, and so that it can't attach to it when I'm not using it. So I hope that makes sense. I have heard jokes about having a Ouija board rug and having the Roomba summon something. If it's not open, it's not going to summon something. Okay? So if you just have it as a rug, it's just a decoration. You're not using it as a sacred tool. Now, could it do that? Sure. If you ignite it, sure. If you believe in it enough, you'll turn it on. But that goes for anything, y'all. Anything you believe will manifest itself. So if you believe you're going to have problems with a divination tool, regardless of the name of the tool you are using, you will probably have a problem because you are calling to it yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. And I do like your joke, by the way, that, yeah, charcuterie board. That would be great. And do you know how hard it is for me to say charcuterie instead of charcuterie? Because of that one woman on TikTok. But I have, like, on my shelf back here, I don't know if you can see it right behind me there, I have mints that are in a Ouija board tin. And the mints are shaped as planchettes. Does that mean that's going to summon something? No, it's a candy tin. Can I use it as a Ouija board in order to find something out? Oh, yes. I would have to do it properly. I would have to set a circle of protection. I would have to open it properly. I would have to have my session. Then I would have to close it properly. And then I would have to remove the circle. But that doesn't mean it's just that I would do it for. I would do it for my tarot. I would do it for a pendulum. I would do it for any divination process I'm using. Using a teeny tiny planchette candy. Yeah, or my pendulum. I don't know if I would necessarily use the little mint, because with my neurodivergency, I would be like, oh, it's candy. Oh, I needed that for my message, So it just really depends a lot on, what your perspective is. For example, I may work with Ouija boards and I may be known as a Ouija board expert here in Oregon, but I'm not allowed to have them in my shop because the owner of my shop doesn't want them here. I can sell them out of my car. They can go outside, but she doesn't want them in her shop. That belief right there will cause problems because you're pulling it to you. So that's why until I get my own store, I can't sell Ouija boards. I can have a book. You can order them. I am thinking about selling them from my website. To answer your question, do you plan on selling them from your website? I would love to. And yes, I can sell them from my website. But if you were to come and pick them up, we'd have to meet outside of the shop because the owner of the shop does not want Ouija boards here. And that's okay too. There's no judgment there. I'm not going to be angry or upset because a person doesn't like Ouija boards. I am a little perturbed when a person goes on and on and on and on about it. And all of their suppositions regarding the Ouija board is from Hollywood and priests that think that they're saving people from problems. In some ways, yes, they are. But in other ways, they're actually stifling any kind of message that spirit may be trying to give a person. I have seen very few problems with a Ouija board that go into hauntings. I've seen way more successful stories. Not saying it never happens, because let me tell you, I've gone in and removed some pretty nasty spirits from houses after a Ouija board. Here's the thing, though. You want to know how come it became so bad? Is because the parent thought they were going to be a smart ass and went downstairs and flipped the breaker a few times. The absolute, unadulterated, sheer fear that echoes energetically from that will call in all sorts of dark entities that feed off of fear. And they're going to just keep doing it until they're gluttons. And then they'll move on, and another entity who feeds off of fear will take their place. And then when they're done, this one will come back and refeed. So if you're going to get a Ouija board for your kids, please don't. Not unless you are a practicing witch, you have had at least 5 years under your belt, and you know how to make sure that you can sanctify your space, cleanse your space, and remove anything that tries to sneak in. Divination tools are not toys. I cannot emphasize that enough. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. But yes, I will be planning on selling Ouija boards. That is something that my business partner Shannon and I are looking at currently. We're looking at different ways to make them. When we do make them, I will be sanctifying, cleansing them, and protecting them so that it even mediates more of the dark shadows coming through. So I'll actually put a magical protection on them to make sure that the person who's using it is safe. The movie The Gate demonstrates them not being toys very well. Exactly. There's several of those Ouija board movies out there that I'm just like, I literally am like, oh my God, why are people? Oh. I mean, there's one, they were like, I had one person say, watch this scene with me. And so I did. I watched that scene. And I looked right at him and I went, well, I can tell you why. They're like, why? I'm like, first of all, they were disrespectful. They challenged him repetitively. They screamed at him. They called him rude names. Would you? I wouldn't do that to a spirit. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what their past life traumas are. You don't know if you're going to trigger them. And if you do, they might throw a knife at your head. And you won't see who's throwing it until the knife is almost in you. Okay? So, yes, bad things can happen. But is it all bad? No. It's not all bad. There can be, I've seen a person reconnect with their parent that they lost and got a message and information that they couldn't find throughout looking through the house and stuff. Well, because mom moved it to be safe and nobody knew she moved it because she moved it and then passed away before she could tell somebody she moved it. So I've seen both sides of those spectrums. I've seen the really nasty and I've seen the really wonderful and beautiful too. So remember, even watching Supernatural, okay? Supernatural may have to do a lot with magic, but in the first few seasons, they had a lot of inaccuracies. It wasn't until their later seasons around about 8 or 9, season 8 or 9, they started really getting back into the magic and they were being more proper because the creators of Supernatural realized that the witches were complaining about how inaccurately they were doing certain things. So they started getting people to consult with them to make sure that that stuff was more on par. So, look at all of the other, Hollywood has made witches the bad guys for a very, very long time. And a lot of that prejudice, that's the word I was looking for. A lot of that prejudice comes from the other religions, Catholic specifically, saying that we're devil worshipers. So I will tell you what Sandra Bullock told the police officer in Practical Magic. There is no devil in the practice. We don't believe in the devil. We don't believe in Satan. Oh, and P.S., we don't believe in hell either. So telling us to go to hell does nothing for us because we don't believe in that place. But again, there's some witches who may and some witches who may not. It all depends. Take what you like, leave what you don't. So I hope that answers some questions. Kind of got off on a sidetrack there. So are there any new questions from any of our newer viewers who have recently joined us? Do 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 do. Okay, I'm gonna say no. Well, we're almost done here. We've been going for 40 minutes. Wowie zowie, I can't believe that. So let's see. Have you seen the new Moonology readings that we release at noon every day? That's right, every day. I do a card pull every single day for what is our message for this day? What does the moon want us to know? And I use the Moonology Oracle card deck, and I read it out and I explain it. And then afterwards, it tells you everything going on with Sarum Witchery. And right now there's a lot. Like I was saying earlier, we've got a lot of things going on. So we have CWPPD. Then there's also a Fall Equinox Festival, 4 days of camping, workshops, rituals, fun, huge community. Okay. You can find out more by going to FynnonOregon.com. FFYNNONOREGON. Shannon says, so looking forward to it. I am too. They will be this year. Every year they have a different ritual and a different deity is honored. And this year, the deity being honored at the Fall Equinox ritual is Hecate, the Greek goddess of the crossroads. She's also known to be a form of Sekhmet, or Sekhmet is known to be a form of her, however you want to look at it. Because I am a worshiper of Sekhmet and a follower of Sekhmet, she's my patron deity. I see Hecate as a form of her, but I know that people who have Hecate as their primary deity, or patron deity, they see Sekhmet as an extension of Hecate. But yeah, it's supposed to be amazing. You can register at Finnon. I would recommend that you get your tickets sooner rather than later. They're capping the attendance at 250 people. My understanding is they're almost there. Okay. So after that, we have the Harvest Moon Bazaar that is happening. I'll also be having several, if you check my website, or watch the Moonologies, I'll also be having several different things. I'll have another Ask the Witch at the end of the month. I'll also be having, let's talk about magic. Let's talk about Witchcraft 101. And I'm going to be talking about what I will be offering in the classes that I will be starting in October. We're going to start on October 30th, Samhain Eve, for our class. That will be our first class where we go through the syllabus, where we get to know each other. And so that will be our first class. Season of the Witch Marketplace on October 7th. And then our, Shannon says there's less than 30 tickets left currently. Exactly. So there's not a lot of spaces left for the Fall Equinox at Finnon. Okay. October 7th, we're going to have Season of the Witch Marketplace here at If the Broom Fits shop. And I will be inside of my room, and there will be 30 vendors surrounding us in the backyard, in the front yard, on the side. So we sure do hope that you'll come. We will have the dancing witches here and all sorts of fun stuff going on. There will also be, I believe there will also be a food truck, I believe. From October 13th to the 15th, we're having our Rediscovering Our Inner Goddess weekend. And what we will be doing that weekend will be full of meditations, arts and crafts, women empowering conversations, groups, so on and so forth. You can register for that at our website as well. I will also be speaking and teaching at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference in November. And there are a few spots left if anyone wants to join us for any of these events. Let us know. You can email us, you can call us, or you can get a hold of us through either Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, website, YouTube. Choose your social media platform. All right. Is there any other question? Oh, and yes, we're everywhere. And also, just to let you know that we have some amazing new products in our store. They're called Cauldron Creations, and they're amazing soaps. I now will not use any other soap. It dries out my skin. I don't like it. These soaps made by my business partner are just amazeballs. So we will have those on the shelves, and at all of our vending events, we will have all of our soaps. We have new products coming, so look for our Maboon newsletter, which will be coming out about the 1st of September. All right, so our final, we're at 45 minutes, so I'm going to ask my last ask. Are there any other questions from anyone out in the audience? All right. Well, not hearing any, I think we're pretty okay. Are the people who watching, do you feel that I've answered all your questions? Are you pretty satisfied? Cookie, come here. See if I can get Cookie to say goodbye to you guys. We're good. Okay. Cookie, come here. I know what'll get her. What will get any dog. Retreat. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Up, up, up. Up, up, up. Good girl. Come on. Up, up, up. I've been teaching her not to jump, and I just tried to get her to jump. She's like, no, Mom. There's the girl. Cookie and I say goodbye. I hope you all have a very blessed week. I hope to hear from you. I will be at Journeys this Sunday in West Salem from 11 to 4, giving readings, and both tarot and crystal ball. And I will also have my tuning forks on me, so you can try out Amplified Reiki. And Cookie Moon says, hi, Auntie Shans. You guys have a wonderful evening. Bright blessings to you all. Blessed be.